asked everyone for forgiveness who we might have wronged. It's also very important. Don't forget. Did we floss? Make sure you floss. Okay, let's start this story here. David and Goliath. Okay. Here we go. One day, God spoke to Samuel, the high priest. He said, "Saul, the king of Israel, does not obey my commandments. I am going to choose another king to rule instead of him. Go on a journey into the country. Near Bethlehem, you will find a man called Jesse. I have chosen a new king from among his sons." Samuel said, "Lord God, how can I do this? If Saul hears of my journey, he will kill me." God said, "Take an animal with you, and tell people that you are going to make a sacrifice to the Lord." The next day, Samuel journeyed toward Bethlehem. When the people from the town saw him, they were troubled. They asked, "Do you come in peace?" Samuel said, "I come in peace, to make a sacrifice to the Lord." He called Jesse and his sons to the sacrifice. When he saw Eliab, the eldest, he said, "This must be the man I have come to find." But God said, "No, this is not the right man." This is very good. Next, Samuel saw Abinadab, but he was not the man God had chosen. Then Jesse brought another son, Shammah. I'm sorry. Did I say that right? Shammah? And all the sons in his house for Samuel to see. But not one was right. Not one was the right one. That's too bad. Samuel asked, "Have you no more sons?" Jesse said, "There is one more, the youngest. He is out on the hills tending the sheep." Samuel said, "Send for him." Oh, I want to see the pictures. Okay. Jesse sent up to the hills, and David, his youngest son, came down. He was young and handsome to look at. When Samuel saw him, he knew that this was the boy God had chosen. He took a horn of oil and anointed David as the man who would one day be king of Israel. Wow. That's cool, man. Just a boy, you know what I'm saying? Just a boy. It happened that at this time Saul was troubled by an evil spirit. He became very sad and miserable, and he could not sleep. His servant said, "A cunning player on the harp would drive away the evil spirit, and you would feel better." Saul said, "Very well, find me such a man." A servant said, "One of Jesse's sons plays the harp, and he is very brave and very good looking." I think he was talking about me. Saul sent messengers to Jesse to ask that David should come down to him. And when Jesse heard the message, he sent bread and wine and a kid with David as gifts for King Saul. As soon as Saul saw David, he loved him. David played the harp, and his music calmed Saul. The evil spirit left him. Wow. I knew music was cool. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Music's always cool. Especially Elvis. A great war was being fought between the Israelites and the Philistines. The two armies were encamped on two mountains on opposite sides of the valley. One of the Philistines was a giant called Goliath. He was very tall and immensely strong. He wore armor of brass, and his spear was as thick as a young tree. He called out to the Israelites, "Send out a man to fight me in a single battle." But the Israelites were afraid. No one would go out to fight Goliath. It doesn't look that big. I bet I'm bigger. Yeah. Jesse's three eldest sons were in the army. fighting with Saul against the Philistines. One day Jesse said to David, "Take this measure of corn and these 10 loaves, go to the camp, and give these cheeses to the captain. Find out how your brothers are." Early the next morning, David went to the camp. He heard Goliath shouting across the valley, and he asked his brothers, "What reward is there for the man who will go out to fight this roaring giant?" David's eldest brother was angry and said, "Why didn't you stay in the hills with your sheep? You just came down here to see the battle." David asked other people about Goliath. Saul heard that a young man was saying that someone should fight Goliath. He sent for David, and David said to them, "I will go out and fight the Philistine." What a brave kid, man. Way to go, David. All right. I hear a dog barking outside. It's not my dog. Saul said, "You can't fight Goliath. He has been fighting for years, and you are only a boy." David said, "For a long time I have been guarding my father's sheep. Once a lion took a lamb, but I made him drop it out of his mouth. Then I took him by the beard and killed him. I know that I can kill a Philistine who is defying the army of the living God." When he heard that Saul said, "Go then, and God will go with you," he gave David his own armor and brass helmet, a coat of mail. Mail? Didn't get mail back then. And a sword. Maybe it's a different kind of mail. But David said, "I have never fought in armor. I think I would do better without it." He took it off and went to the battlefield to meet Goliath. On his way, David stopped to pick up some stones. As soon as Goliath saw the young David, he said, "Am I a dog that you come to fight me without a sword, with only sticks?" "Come nearer, and I will kill you, and feed your body to the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field." David said, You come to fight me with a sword and a spear, but I come in the name of the Lord God." Then he put a stone into the sling and hurled it at Goliath. It hit him. It hit the Philistine on the forehead, so that he fell on his face on the earth. Way to go, David. You killed that Goliath. Yeah, bad man. David ran up and stood on Goliath's body. He took Goliath's sword and cut off the giant's head. Then the Israelite army stood up and shouted. They chased the Philistine army up the valley, as far as the gates of Ekron. Wow. After the battle, Abner, the Israelite captain, brought David before Saul in Jerusalem. David had with him Goliath's head and his armor. Saul asked David, "Whose son are you, young man?" David said, "I am the son of Jesse of Bethlehem, one of Saul's sons, called Jonathan." One of Saul's sons, Jonathan, saw how handsome and brave David was. He knew then that he would love this young man as if he were a brother. Afterwards, David came to live in the king's palace, and he loved Jonathan too. Way to go. You get to live in the king's palace. Right on. That's it. The end. There's a map on the back too. You can get it on there. Well, that's it for this story time tonight, folks. Little kiddos. You go to bed now. School in the morning. It's Monday morning. It's a little earlier tonight. What time is it? Probably 9 something. 9 p.m. A little earlier than last night, huh? 3 in the morning. Don't go to bed that late. So, anyways, have a good day at school tomorrow. Hopefully you did all your homework. And let the angels watch over you. Have a good night. Good night.